Hey guys, just got this new Kodak Play Sport HD camera. I think it does up to 1080p HD recording. It also goes underwater. It's waterproof up to about 10 feet, I believe, which is cool because we just got in above ground pool, and I'm gonna test the old girl out. That other HD camera I've been using, the recording audio is just terribly low, and there's no setting to make it record louder on the mic. And I get a lot of times people will ask me, hey, can you make it louder, this and that. So I'm not going to use that camera. I'm just going to use this new one that I got. But this video, I'm going to show you a few things that I got at my house. My survival type stuff, whatever you want to call it. Stuff that I think is pretty important, that kind of thing. Of course, if we have problems with EMP and magnetic fields causing electronics to fail, then my solar panels aren't going to be all that much help. Much less anything else for the most part. But if you can see on my roof there, you can just catch a couple of solar panels, 2 or 3 solar panels sticking up. I actually have about, let's see, I've got 8 of them. They're like 205 watts each. Anyways, this is normally what you would see as one of those old persons, like retirement communities, one of those trailer parks for 55 or older communities, where the old people ride around on bicycles like this, tricycles, adult tricycles, what they're called sometimes. And I saw one, I was looking on Craigslist because I had an idea. As you can see, those are 4 12-volt batteries, 18 amp hours each, I believe. They're wired in series, which gives me basically 48 volts. Kind of like a golf cart, or at least a 48-volt golf cart. And I thought to myself, well, I know I've seen these front tires where they have these hubs and the electric motor is actually in the hub. You buy the whole entire wheel here, everything you see, the whole entire wheel comes that way. And it's got a little electronic box back here, right there. And then you got a couple, a little bit of wiring. It's pretty much easy, self-explanatory when you see it. Colors coded, everything is, what you would expect. It comes with these little hand brakes, which this one doesn't go anywhere because this bike only has a front brake. This trike only has a front brake, so I hooked it up to this one. This little guy here is actually a thumb throttle, and that's how you go basically. This is about roughly 1 horsepower, I think. Or it's actually 1,000 watts, so it's somewhere around 1 horsepower. And again, it's a 48-volt system, 18 amp hour batteries. Now these batteries didn't come with it. They tell you the recommended size. Get a good look at these, so you can kind of gauge the height and stuff and the thickness. And the ones I think they recommend are actually these, and maybe a little bit smaller. These are also 12 volt, but they're only, I think, 8 amp hour, or maybe they might even be 12 amp hour, I don't remember. Yeah, 12 amp hour, 12 volt, 12 amp hour. Now again, the ones I've got are 18 amp hour. And reason being, the more amp hours you have, the further you'll be able to go before you need a charge. The other benefit is that by barely using battery power, you will go a lot longer with your batteries before you have to replace them. So in other words, if you have batteries that stay at 85% charged the whole time, they're gonna last, they could last a few years, 2 or 3 years if you're using it even kind of frequently. So that's why I put these batteries in there. And at first I had them in the back of this little cage, and it was just too heavy and it wasn't designed for that. So I made this little bracket here. I got a welder. I'm not the best welder in the world, that's for damn sure, but I just kind of rigged a little something there, and because I put it there, I cannot put the chain back on the bike. So even if I wanted to pedal it, I won't be able to, unless I remove the batteries, of course. So my boss owns a couple different companies aside from the one I work at, where I'm the IT guy. He has a powder coating shop, and I got a free powder coating job on this bad boy. And anyways, it'll do about, on this trike, it'll do about 25 mile an hour full speed. On a regular bicycle, it'll do about 30 mile per hour. So I'm showing you this bike because this is one of the things that I thought might come in handy if I got to travel a little bit of a distance. you know, sometime in the future. And again, this assumes that, you know, electronic devices are still working. And I've determined I could easily go 40 miles, probably a lot further. Well, maybe not a lot further, but probably much further than 40 miles, because I've taken the bike, as you see it, approximately, I think, 16 miles. And when I got home, I still had a 92% charge left. So I mean, I just barely scratched the surface of these batteries, you know, as far as charging, you know, taking the charge down. 92% left. You know, if you keep your batteries above 50% charged, they'll last a decent amount of time. If you can keep your batteries above 80% charged, man, your batteries are going to last a really long time. It's a real good idea to try to keep them above 80 if you can. Again, I was at 92%, so I was pretty happy about that. But one of my friends at work, because I drive it to work every now and then on the sidewalk and stuff, I'm only like 2.5 miles away. So, you know, to charge this thing costs like a few pennies. It's ridiculous. Versus driving a car back and forth. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I save tons of gas and whatnot. But when I brought it in, he goes, what? He says, what is that? The Apocalypse bike or the Apocalypse trike? And I said, no. I said, yeah, actually, that sounds like a good name. So it has now been named the Apocalypse trike. And I think that is actually a pretty cool name, and I'm going to keep it. So there you have it, the Apocalypse trike. God, I cannot say that. And you see these are called bike trailers. If you're looking like on Craigslist or somewhere, which I would recommend if you want one, they're called bike trailers. I've got one there. That's a Schwinn. It's fairly expensive, but I got it for like 50 bucks on freaking Craigslist. Unbelievable deal. Here's another one sitting up, you know, right upside down or whatever, so facing up like it's gonna rocket off. And basically I will hook up both of these things to the back of my trike and just attach them to the back. I actually don't have really a bracket. I just kind of put them in here and make sure they're safe. They got little safety cords on them, and I wrap them through here. And then I'll take the other one and attach it to the back of this one. So it's kind of like a little train. I usually do that when like my kids' friends come over or something, or I've got 3 girls, so sometimes I'll take all 3 of them out. But usually I'll set the little one on my lap and take the other 2 behind me. And of course, I'm not driving at 25 miles an hour when they're with me. We just cruise around the neighborhood, go down to the park or something. So anyways, that's one thing that I wanted to show you. And I'm going to push this back. I probably should go for a ride and show you how quiet and how cool it is, I guess. It's kind of cool. This is a 55-gallon drum. I've actually got 4 others here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all full of water. You know, emergency use, basically, is how I had it. This one is for my hydroponic garden. You can also use a trash can. I think that's like a 40-gallon, I'm not sure. Trash can, maybe it's 30-something gallons. 32 gallon actually it says on the side, or 37, something like that. This is the hydroponic system. There's this little 1/2-inch line. Here's the power cord. Inside here it goes into a pump. There's the pump. It stays at the bottom. It's got suction cups on it. Right now it's completely empty because I haven't been using it since the summer and then winter and whatnot. It's just too hard to grow down here in Florida. The stuff that I want to grow anyways during summers, they can't handle it. You have a timer here, which also is not hooked up, but this timer was like $17 or $18, and it'll kick on. You need a timer that can kick on and off per minute, because these things only need to run somewhere between 1 and 3 minutes. That's it. 1 and 3 minutes is the amount of time that this thing will need to run, and you can do that 2 times a day. Some people do it 3 times a day depending on what they're growing. Doesn't use that much water. It's very conservative. It does it while you're at work, doing whatever you got to do, that sort of thing. While I'm here, this is the other part of the solar panel system. That is the inverter that takes the DC voltage that the solar panels produce, that go down into this battery bank down here, which I've got 8 golf cart batteries down there. And this device is the charge controller, which makes sure the batteries are always charged, fully topped off at all times. And then the excess goes into this thing, which goes into the house, and actually will, if nothing's going on, like if the water heater's not on and my AC unit is not on, I can actually go out there and the meter is spinning backwards, very slowly, by the way. Nothing to brag about, but it does spin backwards, and it does help. You know, my bills are lower than most other people's, for sure. But with 1600 watts of solar panels, which in reality is about 1200 watts because there is a loss, it's just not, you know, you can't run your house off it. You can only run a small amount of stuff off of it. All right, so here's my hydroponic garden. I've got on the top of this shade cloth is what it's called. I bought it online, so I don't remember where. You can just look for shade cloth. This, I think, is around 40 or 50% shade cloth, which means it blocks about 40 or 50% of the sunlight that it lets through or whatever. This one is actually 90%, and while you can see right through it, it doesn't look like it does that much, but it sure as heck does a lot. This wasn't exactly for my garden. This was to keep my chicken coop and the chickens nice and cool during the summer, which we got rid of the chickens recently because we got a cat and we wanted to get this outdoor pool and stuff. I don't want chickens running around in the backyard with chicken crap everywhere, kids running in it, getting in the pool. It was just too much. If I need chickens in emergency, I'll go get some chickens. You know, I know how to do it now. So each of these pots, they're just styrofoam, and as you can see, they are made to sit on top of each other, kind of staggered there, and each corner is actually a place that you will plant a seed in each corner of these things. So there's 4 corners on every one of these pots. So 4, 4, 4, 4, and 4. I got this thing going 5 deep. You can go 3 or 4 deep if you want. Some people usually don't go more than 4. Some go 5, whatever. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3. I've got 12 rows. You know, I think I calculated I could do 240 separate crops all at one time. So that line I showed you inside, that 1/2 inch line, comes out through here. This is a little side garage door I got that comes all the way through, and I just run it through there. Goes to the top. These little things, you poke a hole in here with this little tool. It's like a $1.99 tool. It's for like little spray misters at Home Depot or Lowe's. You plug this little thing onto it. I use little tie straps, which is fine. This actually is a PVC T. I think it's 3/4 inch if I recall. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It doesn't do anything besides let this pipe go through it. That's really the only purpose, and it kind of sits on this pole, which is a conduit pole. Again, you buy that at Lowe's or Home Depot too for electrical wires. It's called conduit. I believe that is 1 inch, maybe 3/4 inch actually. Anyways, when that thing kicks on, this little hose drips down to here. Now this little tiny pot, you can put fertilizer or organic compound, whatever, right in the top of this, and put less fertilizer inside your 55-gallon drum or whatever that I had inside, and you can use just pure water if you want. And then when this thing sprays down here and gets all this wet, all that fertilizer or organic compound, whatever you got in this top little tiny bucket, will drip all the way down from this one to that one to that one to that one. Under the bottom of these pots here are several holes about the size of your pinky right in the center, so it allows it to drip all the way down. The problem is sometimes you have crops in here that have a lot of roots that need a lot of space, and if you're trying to grow 4 of that same crop in one of these, the roots will actually go down the hole, or in this case, if it was here, the roots might even go up the hole towards where the water's coming from, and it kind of plugs up the system a little bit. So you gotta be careful with what you're planting. You may want to just do 2 per pot of whatever you decide to grow. I don't recommend growing viney things like cucumbers, although I did last year. It's just that I use the bottom pots, but they still want to fall over to the bottom and kind of, they grow all out of control. So you almost may want to put them somewhere else or do something else with that. You can do it, and I did do it successfully, by the way. It's just a little bit of work to keep them trimmed up and stop them from growing out of control and climbing up everything. And basically it's the same setup. Now these ones right here I just showed you, these don't have a cap on them. So if I turn it on right now and I had water in there, all of these are going to spray. This one has a cap on it, and the rest of the system all the way across has caps on them as well. This is so that you're not wasting water when the thing's on and you don't have anything planted, which would be stupid because you're just wasting more fertilizer and water on nothing. So if you're gonna do it, get the little caps. It comes with all these things, the little section that I was telling you about in Lowe's. It's like water misters and that kind of thing. And the little tool that I said you punch a hole through that water or that line here, the tool actually comes with several of those little plugs, so you can plug them off. that's really about it. We got this pool the other day. It's a 16-inch Intex pool, or 16 foot circular pool. It's about 4 feet deep, and I got the pump running now on the thing. I've never owned a pool in my life, but it, I just asked a few questions and got it pretty much. It's pretty self-explanatory actually once you start to mess with them. But I started thinking, with this thing, it holds around 5,000 gallons of water. That's a nice little water supply for a good amount of time. So if I got that Ecola Blue thing, that's $1,000. Yeah, it can create water out of thin air, several gallons per day, but at the same time, it's $1,000. I do have a big Berkey water filter, and I could just use the pool water, 5,000 gallons worth of pool water, in an emergency situation or whatever. Not to mention, if we have electronic problems and things go out, even my solar panels get fried or something, or the inverter box under there that I showed you gets fried, then what? I can't run that thing. I'm done. I'm not going to be out there running a generator because gas and all that's not going to be around if that kind of stuff happens. So I may hold off on the Ecola Blue thing for now. I did get the food storage going. I purchased that thing on, I've been telling you guys about on Costco, $1,000 for a 1-year supply for one adult. With the other stuff I've been collecting over the last couple years, I probably got a 6-month supply for my entire family, not just one person, including this. So I just wanted to share that with you. I put a video up a long time ago. It's still under my YouTube account, and I think it's called my survival garden or my survival setup or something. But I didn't have that many subscribers at the time, nowhere near the amount that I have now. So I guess I could have downloaded it and re-uploaded it, but there's a few things that might be a little bit different, so I just figured I might as well use this new camera, check it out, test it out, and do a video of kind of the same thing I did before, which I didn't include that bike, that trike thing. Matter of fact, I may not have even had it then. And by the way, the cost of that trike, I got the thing used, not with that paint job. It needed a paint job when I got it, but I got it for $80, bought some little bearings for 10 or 15 bucks, put them in, no big deal. The front wheel hub, the entire system basically, as far as the electronic, the wheels and all that stuff that make the thing go, not including the batteries, I believe I paid around $300. You can get them, I think I've been seeing them on eBay for $350 now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about $350. The batteries I think I picked up for like $100 from a place in Texas. They were only 2 months old as far as production dates, and when you go get batteries, you want the absolute most recent production dates you can find. So if you buy batteries, even for a battery backup, because that's the kind of batteries those are basically, for a battery backup, you always want the most recent production date on the batteries. If it's 2 or 3 months old, man, that's fine. It really is. So I ended up getting them. Man, it was a fantastic deal. $100 I think, maybe an 80. I really don't remember, to tell you the truth. 20, 40, 60. Yeah, it's probably 80 plus shipping, about $100. Because I remember getting them for around 20 or 25 bucks each, something like that. And there's 4 of them, whatever. They've been working great. I've had them for over a year now, and the thing rides perfectly. They hold a charge perfectly still. If I see things starting to really get out of hand, like scary in this country, in the world, I'll probably go out and buy another set of batteries, brand new as production dates, and set them inside my house as a kind of emergency backup for when the day comes that these batteries die, should I need this bike. There's places, big parks around here and stuff. There's got little ponds all over the place, small, I'm not gonna say a lake, but definitely bigger than a pond, so maybe like a smallish kind of lake, but they're miles away. Riding a bike and towing one of those bike trailers with like fishing supplies or some other kind of supplies, that would suck. Driving this thing that can go 25 miles an hour and probably pull something with it pretty easily, which I've done it with several kids on the back, 2 of those things being pulled, no problem, going up hills, no sweat. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with that, especially if someone was trying to chase you or something. You're not catching me on that thing, I'm sorry, unless you're some kind of expert 10-speed, 12-speed bike rider. You got one of those little slick wheels and you can push 25, 30 mile an hour by yourself. You're not going to push that for long, not as far as I can go, but it sure helps not having to strain yourself, riding a bike all over the place. You can just cruise while everyone else is out there suffering. The hell with them. They should have listened to Dr. Doom in the beginning. So the only other thing I guess I got in my backyard that's worth showing, this is a peach tree that can grow in Florida. A lot of trees like this can't. This is some kind of variety that does. Their peaches aren't huge, but man, they are the most tasty things you have ever had in your life. Just had a bunch of flowers. Look like they got pollinated because I'm seeing little tiny balls here forming all over the place, and it's looking real good. This, although it looks like a tree, is actually a bush, and it is a mulberry bush. And these little things will turn into the mulberries, which turn into like a dark purple or blackish color when they're ready to eat. They do get purple, noticeably purple, pinkish purple. You don't want to eat them at that time because they taste pretty crappy. But the black ones are, I mean, unbelievably good. Problem is, you know, they're only seasonal, so it's not like you could rely on something like this to feed your family. I just got them. I like to have stuff in my backyard, you know, growing, and just to have, you know, not have to rely on everything out there sprayed down pesticide food. This stuff is all natural in my backyard. I don't spray nothing on none of this stuff. You know, I know it's coming out good. One of the other things that I grew in this hydroponic garden was squash, which is another viney crop, kind of like a cucumber. It did really well, and I put them all in the bottom pots. I only had like 2 or 3 of them, but each plant is going to grow several squash, several cucumbers, that kind of thing. The problem is these little stink bug things, I forgot what they're called. They're not stink bugs, they look like stink bugs. They are attracted to those viney crops, and they come and lay eggs, and I had to get some crap at Lowe's at first to spray them, and the only thing they had was some kind of pesticide, and then they end up having this stuff that's like organic compound that I think works pretty good too, and it's made off of like citrus. I think it's called oh, almost dropped it. Citrus, basically like orange peel extract. That's what it is. And that stuff supposedly worked real good too. And it was just at the end of the season when I got that stuff, so I didn't get a good chance to try it out, but it did look like it was working. Those bugs are gone. I thought about screening this in, kind of like, you know, redneck style or whatever you want to call it, jerry rigging it, just to keep those bugs out. The problem is some of the stuff I grow does need to be pollinated by bees and that kind of thing. But there are always these little tiny, they look like little ants, but I don't know if they are. And I've noticed every time that I grow them or grow things, those little bugs are moving back and forth all over the place. And I've heard from reading online, they'll actually pollinate stuff too. So that's cool. And if that's the case, especially with the bee problem we're all having, dying off out of control, I may just screen this thing in, keep all the pests and stuff out, and see what happens. I may try that like in the next few days, because I should have already started planting like 2-3 weeks ago, and I haven't planted any seeds or nothing yet. I just bought a bunch of seeds at Lowe's, and I need to get busy basically. So here's another view actually of, so you can see some of the other solar panels. And one other last thing, that little tower you see right there, it's about 35 feet or 40 feet up roughly, probably about 40 feet I think. That's for my ham radio. I've actually got a 2 meter / 70 meter ham radio. It also picks up all kinds of other channels. I think the model is a Yatsu 7800R, which they've discontinued at this point. The new model I think has come out and replaced it. Doesn't matter, it's pretty much the same radio. And I have a 2 meter radio that I put in my wife's van at one point. We went to a friend's house that lives about 10 miles away, and she was here at the house, and I was out in the car, and we could hear each other loud and clear. 10-mile distance on this little thing is, I was pretty impressed with that. And something like that could come in handy if I'm out, if Dr. Doom's out on the apocalypse trike, and I got the little ham radio hooked up to it, letting the base station know what's going down at the the lake with the sheeple. We've got to communicate. So it works pretty good. It also, again, it picks up police, air traffic, all kinds of different channels. It is something that you could figure out what the hell's going on in your neighborhood, in your city. I mean, if you turn on the police channel and all you hear is just steady radio talking, oh, we've got, groups of people and there's gunshots and this and that, you could pick up all that and listen and kind of know, well, where's that at in relation to where I am at? Oh, it's getting closer. Oh, the police said that they're going down Highway 60. Oh, you can make a decision based off of that. So it's also good because you'll be able to communicate with other people in an emergency situation. At the same time, you're supposed to have a license to talk on the ham radio channels, which is easy to get. You can listen for free and no license all you want, but technically speaking, when you broadcast, you're supposed to talk. You're supposed to have a license when you talk. Again, in an emergency situation, it ain't gonna matter. If you got to talk or someone's saying something and you need to communicate with somebody who's on a ham radio, trust me, you're gonna talk whether you have a license or not. It's not gonna freaking matter. So that's about it. I don't think there's anything else I really need to share with you at this point. That's really about it. So, you know, again, I'm just trying out my camera for the most part, and this would be a good, you know, educational video for people. That's about it, I guess. So I'll talk to you guys later.